right now, at this very moment, the most powerful technological force on the planet is being trained, refined, and deployed. And every major AI system, from the models that generate text and images to the algorithms that will one day drive our cars, runs on one company's technology. It's not Google, though they are a customer. It's not Microsoft, though they are a partner. It's not OpenAI, though they are a dependent. The company is NVIDIA. For decades, most people knew NVIDIA as a graphics card company, a name revered by gamers, PC builders, and tech enthusiasts for its ability to render breathtaking virtual worlds. But that identity is a relic. Today, NVIDIA is no longer just a gaming company. It has become the essential, non-negotiable infrastructure behind artificial intelligence. And in the digital age, infrastructure is power. To understand how this happened, we have to go back to 1993. NVIDIA was founded with a singular, ambitious goal: to solve a complex graphics problem. The challenge was accelerating 3D graphics for the burgeoning PC gaming market. Faster rendering, better visuals, smoother gaming. The company released landmark products like the Riva TNT and later the GeForce series, cementing its dominance in the gaming world. To do this, it built GPUs, graphics processing units. These were specialized chips, fundamentally different from the CPUs, or central processing units, that acted as the general-purpose brain of a computer. A CPU is a master of serial processing. It's like a brilliant specialist, tackling complex tasks one after another with incredible speed. But rendering graphics, calculating the color and position of millions of pixels simultaneously, required a different approach. A GPU is a master of parallel processing. It's like an army of workers, each handling a small, simple task, but all working at the same time. At the time, no one imagined that this unique architecture, designed for video games, would become the engine of a technological revolution. Then, in the mid-2000s, something unexpected happened. Researchers in academia and science discovered that GPUs were not just good at graphics, they were incredibly powerful at general-purpose parallel computation. Any problem that could be broken down into thousands of smaller, simultaneous calculations could be solved orders of magnitude faster on a GPU. And it turned out that the core of modern artificial intelligence, training a neural network, requires massive parallel computation. This realization changed everything. But the real genius wasn't just the hardware. It was a strategic decision that created an unbreachable moat around their business. In 2007, NVIDIA released CUDA. CUDA is a software platform, a programming language and a set of tools that unlock the parallel processing power of their GPUs for general-purpose computing. Before CUDA, programming a GPU for non-graphics tasks was a dark art, accessible only to a few specialists. CUDA was the key. It gave developers a straightforward way to harness the GPU's power for scientific computing, data analysis, and, most importantly, artificial intelligence. This locked in developers. Over the years, NVIDIA built an entire ecosystem on top of CUDA, with specialized libraries like cuDNN for deep neural networks and TensorRT for optimizing AI inference. Once you build your systems on a platform, once your entire team is trained on its language, switching becomes expensive, time-consuming, risky. That's strategic leverage. With the software moat established, NVIDIA then scaled its hardware ambition. They didn't just sell individual cards. They started building the entire data center stack. They created systems like the DGX, a pre-packaged AI supercomputer in a box, combining their most powerful GPUs, like the H100 and B100 series, with optimized software. They acquired Mellanox, a leader in high-speed networking, to ensure data could move between their GPUs at lightning speed using technologies like NVLink and InfiniBand. This wasn't about selling components anymore. It was about selling a complete, integrated, high-performance solution. They weren't just selling the engine, they were selling the entire factory. This integrated stack powers the two critical phases of AI. First, there's training. This is the brute force process of teaching an AI model, feeding it trillions of data points for weeks or months. It requires colossal, sustained computational power. Then there's inference. This is when the trained model is put to work, answering a query or generating an image. It needs to be fast, efficient, and scalable. NVIDIA's hardware and software are optimized for both. This capability is now driving a revolution across every major industry. In finance, AI models run on NVIDIA GPUs to detect fraud and execute high-frequency trading strategies. In healthcare, they accelerate drug discovery and analyze medical scans to identify diseases earlier than the human eye can. In transportation, they are the brains behind the development of autonomous vehicles. Every one of those industries requires compute power, massive compute power, and that compute power flows through NVIDIA. Of course, NVIDIA is not without competitors. Traditional CPU makers like Intel are still dominant in general computing. Tech giants like Google have developed their own specialized AI chips, like the TPU, for their internal needs. And rival GPU maker AMD is aggressively competing for a piece of the AI market. But competitors face a monumental challenge. They aren't just competing with a chip, they are competing with a 2-decade head start on an entire ecosystem. The hardware, the software, the libraries, the developer community, the university curricula, it all works together. The cost of switching isn't just buying new hardware, it's rewriting code, retraining teams, and abandoning years of investment in the CUDA platform. This brings us to the economics of leverage. During the gold rush, the people who made the most reliable fortunes weren't the prospectors digging for gold. It was the merchants who sold the pickaxes, shovels, and blue jeans. NVIDIA is the premier pickaxe seller of the AI gold rush. This position allows for incredible pricing power and high profit margins. But the strategy is even deeper. By providing the foundational platform, they benefit from every success in the AI field, without taking on the risk of building each individual application. This is the power of platform effects. When you own the rails, you don't need to own the trains. You collect a toll from every journey. That's structural dominance. However, this dominance is not without constraints. The demand for NVIDIA's chips has created unprecedented supply chain bottlenecks. The immense power consumption of these AI data centers is raising environmental and infrastructural challenges. And as AI becomes more critical to national security, the entire industry faces the growing prospect of geopolitical tension and government regulation. These are not trivial problems. They are the natural consequences of becoming the world's most critical technological resource. Here's where money psychology enters the picture. Most investors and businesses chase visible innovation, apps, platforms, consumer products, the things that generate headlines. But the most durable value is often captured by infrastructure businesses, because they sit beneath the trend. They are the foundation upon which the trend is built. They power the trend, and power flows upward. NVIDIA didn't need to dominate social media. It didn't need to become a household brand in the traditional sense. It needed to become unavoidable, and through decades of strategic patience, relentless focus, and ecosystem building, that's exactly what it did. This is what it means to be the backbone, invisible to most, but essential to all who operate within the system. There's a final lesson here: leverage beats labor. NVIDIA does not need to build every AI application. It doesn't need to design every chatbot or image generator. It simply provides the foundation. And every successful AI company, from the smallest startup to the largest tech giant, builds on top of it. That is asymmetric advantage. Today, NVIDIA is not just a chip manufacturer. It is a strategic pillar of the AI revolution, a company whose choices dictate the pace and direction of global technological progress. And revolutions are always built on infrastructure. The rise of NVIDIA reveals a deeper truth about wealth and power. The greatest opportunities are often not the most visible ones. They are the most foundational, the most leveraged, the most strategically positioned. AI may dominate the headlines, but infrastructure will always dominate the creation of long-term value. If you want to understand how artificial intelligence, business strategy, and money psychology intersect, subscribe to Wealth Intelligence, because the next decade will reward those who recognize leverage early, and the real power is always beneath the surface.